Hi guys, this is jsnl.com and I'm here with a review of the HTC U12 Plus. Yes, finally, it's the time to review HTC's latest phone with some controversial choices like not having physical buttons, instead having touch ones. Anyways, this phone debuted at the end of May and we're here in June reviewing it fully. So it's priced at around $800, that's the price tag for the handset. It's fully and indeed a flagship Snapdragon 845 CPU, 2 back cameras, 2 front cameras, glass all around. There's a translucent blue version, a black version, a flame red, and apparently we have the black version, although you wouldn't call it black, I would rather call it a sort of beige or brown. It's got HTC U Sonic, it's the main HTC this year. There is no U12, just the U12 Plus. And it also has an 18:9 aspect ratio screen, like we've seen on the U11 Plus. And the design, frankly speaking, reminds me a bit of the LG G5, the camera area especially, sort of like the ET extraterrestrial in this area here. Now the phone, usually lately we say that in spite it has glass, it's pretty grippy. This one is actually a bit more slippery than usual, and I would have to say that the one-hand usage not very comfy because it's a pretty long phone and also slightly wide. Anyways, it's made of premium materials for sure, it's a bit polarizing and has that special way of catching a light like the predecessor did. Now the most important change here is that we have once again touch buttons. Power and volume are touch. There are no physical buttons. So if you remember the passage from the iPhone 6s home button to the iPhone 7 home button, it's the same thing basically. And it comes with a problem. So when the screen is on, obviously you can press the volume buttons to take down the volume, but when the screen is off, you'll press them and nothing happens, which is a bit of a problem. And also sometimes they will activate randomly when you're doing something else, like when you're using the camera, you may be able to activate one of them randomly, and that's annoying. Not a big fan of the feedback and not a big fan of the fact you'll be cutting your finger a bit in this pretty rugged texture. So overall it doesn't feel like a good idea to have these buttons, and it's a big no-no for me. Other than that, we got the metal frame here, we got the glass at the front, we got the glass at the back. You know the drill. And I wouldn't say the design is ugly or anything, it's just boring. We've seen it before. The phone is a bit slippery, it draws prints and grease, and the side buttons idea, capacitive touch ones, not a good idea. Anyways, IP68, waterproof and dustproof, and poor one-hand usage, maybe. Think again next time, HTC. On the display front, it's a 6-incher with the Quad HD Plus resolution, Super LCD 6 panel, 18:9 aspect, DCI-P3 colors, and HDR10 also in the package. Now the actual viewing experience is going to be put to work courtesy of photos. We got here our typical video sample. Okay, so let's do it like this. As you can see, pretty vivid colors and actually well calibrated colors, and I have to say that the level of black depth here is actually not bad. Pretty wide view angles, I would have to say. And other things, well, the contrast is rather poor. You just saw the media going down even though I didn't press anything, so that's something to see. So keep in mind the volume just went down on account of a simple mistake of contacts or something like that. Happens every once in a while when I'm using the phone, pressing here, the volume goes down for some crazy reason. Anyways, we have a test unit and we're talking about the screen. Reasonably bright at first sight, wide view angles, poor contrast in the sun, and a pretty solid color calibration. Now, of course, with a lot of tests, like we always do, like subjecting the screen to the microscope, we got RGB stripes pixel arrangement. We also did a lux meter test, and we achieved a hugely underwhelming 306 lux. Oh boy, is that disappointing. It's placed on the 214th spot from all the phones we've tested. It may beat the Huawei Mate 10 Lite and LG G Flex 2, but it's surpassed by more than 200 other phones. Now I have to say that this result is inferior to the HTC Ultra, Motorola Moto E4, LG G3, LG G5, a lot of phones. Even the U11 before it had 409 lux, so thumbs down HTC. What's going on with the screen brightness? I'm very disappointed. Now, if you want to do some tweaking for the screen, provided you still want that, you have the options here. You got your glove mode, one hand mode, brightness level, and something like automatic brightness, smart display, color profile, which can be set to this one or this one. And you can also trigger the warmer or cooler slider settings. A night mode resolution can be set to Quad HD Plus or Full HD Plus. font size, smart screen rotate, display size, and some gestures. In the end, color me unimpressed. It's a pity for the very nicely calibrated colors and HDR because the brightness, simply put, sucks. Now, as far as the CPU is concerned, we're looking with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 845, 6GB of RAM, 64 or 128GB of storage, microSD card slot, no lag whatsoever. No matter what we did, things look pretty snappy. We played FIFA, we played Riptide GP Renegade, had zero problems with fluidity, but I feel that the previously tested Zenfone 5 was a bit snappier. It may be the AI. The games run tip-top. I'm talking about Riptide, talking about FIFA. You can also play shooters if you want to. PUBG should run fine. I have to warn you, playing more than 10 minutes of a game may result in overheating. We also got some problems with the overheating when taking photos outside. Of course, there are 30 degrees Celsius. It's the summer, but still, after about 30 photos, the phone becomes overheated clearly in your hand and you'll feel it. In games, it's okay, unless it's a pretty intensive game, then you may have a problem after more than 15 minutes. Okay, so the games look stunning. FIFA, Riptide, PUBG, you name it. And now it's time to have a glance at the, benchmarks. We also did those. So, a quick look into them. We did Antutu, and this is Antutu 6 actually. Here we beat the Pixel 2 XL and Huawei P10, scored below the Xperia XZ1 and LG G6, which is not very impressive to be honest. Also did Antutu 7. This is a much better score. It's actually the first placed phone all time. From our last tests, it beats Xperia XZ2, Galaxy S9 Plus, so it can actually do some pretty nice scores. Now when it comes to the Geekbench test, let's see how that panned out. This is the result we achieved in the multi-core and single core. Multi-core is actually fine, 5th spot, beats Xperia XZ2, Galaxy Note 8, scores below the Galaxy S9 Plus and of course the iPhone 8, and it's crazy 10,000 points, maybe even more. When it comes to the graphics, Slingshot is on the case. Not bad scores. Slingshot 3.0, third placed, close to HTC U11, I have to admit it, above Galaxy S9 Plus, below Xperia XZ2. We have a thermometer, and we usually put it to the test after benchmarks. This is put to the test after running GFX Bench. It reached 40.5 degrees Celsius, a tint of overheating, and after Riptide we got to 38.7 degrees. So no heat in these measurements, but as I said before, on a hot day with a lot of pics and maybe some gaming, you may experience some unpleasant temperatures. On the battery front, 3500 mAh. It sounds like a bit too little. The predecessor HTC U11 Plus had 3930 mAh, were promised fast charge and 23 hours of talk time. Now let's see how it delivers in our own tests. Never believe the hype and what they say. So as usual, we did a bunch of tests which involve HD video playback in a loop for Netflix fans, 11 hours and 8 minutes. It's just okay, no record breaking. We beat the iPhone 8, Nokia 8, scored below the HTC U11 Live and HTC U11, and that's that. Now in PC Mark came a big disappointment, a mere 6 hours 33 minutes. Keep in mind that we were present at an event, a launch event for laptops. We did about 300 photos there, maybe something like 5 videos. Went to the park, took another 200-300 photos, let's say 10 videos, and those two actions depleted the battery by 80%. It's a bummer. Now this result beats the OnePlus 2 and also beats the HTC Ultra, but scores below hundreds of other phones. Okay, so this result here scored below 120 other phones in our database. It's basically half of the value of the Samsung Galaxy A3 2017 and the HTC U11 before it, 7 hours 48 minutes, so I don't know what's happening with HTC, but it's no good. At least the charging was acceptable, 1 hour and 55 minutes, and after 1 hour you're at about 74%, which is not bad. Power saving options are rather typical. You would be able to go here to the battery and you got power saver and extreme power saver, and that's that, plus automatic brightness and also battery optimization. Okay, so that's in a nutshell about the battery. Not impressive, actually underwhelming in the PC Mark department. On the audio front, as usual, they deliver boom sound with hi-fi, with U-Sonic, active noise cancelling. We got a woofer and a tweeter. We got a speaker here at the bottom. We got the speaker here at the top. They're working together. They got stereophony. They got amps. Yes, amps inside them. And let's actually go to the experience. But before that, quick check with the settings. As usual, HTC hasn't heard about equalizers. They have this boom sound, and that's basically it, plus the U-Sonic, which scans your ear and creates a profile tailored just for you. So let's play some tunes. Okay, some conclusions. I have to say that the back of the phone vibrates a ton. Other than that, pretty good bass, high volume. You will not cover the speaker when you're holding the device in landscape for sure. Also warm voices in the songs with voices. And I have to say that while the speaker at the bottom is solid, the top one is a bit mediocre. It feels like it's clogged or something like that. If it's on its own, it feels mediocre. Thank God we have two of them. Now boom sound is here, as I said before, there's no equalizer, and with the decibel meter test, which is pretty revealing. Let's see the results. So 80.8 decibels was achieved at the top of the phone. It beats the HTC U11 and the Huawei P20 Pro, scores below the Moto Z. Now at the bottom and the back of the phone, 89.4 decibels, actually not that bad, beats an iPhone 8 and scores below a Nokia 5. The supreme test involves, the famous Riptide GP Renegade, which showed us 100.1 decibels, which is solid, beats Huawei Mate 10 Pro and the HTC U11, so it beats the predecessor. We'll have it in the full text review. So in the end, a pretty nice set of results here for the speakers, although the top one is a bit of a letdown. The headphones, you've seen them before a lot of times. I won't even show them to you, seen them in the unboxing. They're the same, U-Sonic, the same as the ones from last year. Excellent bass, nice comfiness, and they brag about that noise cancelling. It's just good, nothing out of the ordinary, just good. On the camera front, we have 4 cameras. 2 here, both are 8 megapixel shooters with AR stickers, and these 2 here, a combo of 12 megapixel and 16 megapixel. There's 2x optical zoom for the telephoto one, OIS, optical image stabilization, laser focus, and face detection autofocus. Ultra speed autofocus generation 2, 10x optical zoom, 2x optical zoom, 10x digital zoom, and bokeh, portrait basically, 4K, 60 frames per second, no super slow-mo, and something called HDR Boost 2, as well as a RAW capture. So the camera UI is just as we left it. You saw it in the unboxing, you saw it in a hands-on. It's just the same, nothing fancy, out of the ordinary. We got tweaks here, we got HDR, we got stickers, and these cute options. Nothing fancy, not out of the ordinary. You can shoot stuff in RAW mode. You got here rich manual controls. These are the ones you're going to use. We also have an auto mode with a few extra tweaks, but let's leave it behind. I have to mention we got a very fast zoom, that 2x optical zoom. Just press something and you'll be zooming in. Leaving that aside, we decided to take a different route this time. We chose only a bunch of pictures. We usually say we took 500 pics. We don't know which one to choose. This time we made a selection, so let's see the videos we selected. I'm going to start with the beginning. So the beginning is food. Yes, food. This phone can easily be used by a food vlogger and blogger. It takes some very nice shots. I'm talking about texture, composition, details. Things are looking pretty hot when it comes to the food close-up, so not bad at all. Now, when you're moving outside in a very sunny day like we caught, first thing I wanted to test was the zoom. Zoom in once at about something like 5x or 6x. Pretty impressive. Zoomed in at the top level of 10x and I was blown away. It can easily fight Galaxy S9 Plus and Huawei P20 Pro, the masters of zoom. Now, be advised, we also have some very nice flower close-ups like this one here, this yellow one, and we actually created bokeh without using the bokeh option. Frankly speaking, I was underwhelmed by the bokeh. It took me a few attempts to properly get it. Maybe because of the fact that at times bokeh wasn't efficient and I couldn't see the screen because of the strong sun. So this is the bokeh effect of this tiger here, and it may look okay. You can see the blurry background, but I've seen better and I've seen similar on many other phones out there, so not blown away, and you have to take a few attempts. So far, the pictures and close-ups of flowers were excellent, loving the details here. However, even though they're good, the details are not exactly at the level of an Xperia XZ2, for example. The HDR does some pretty nice tricks. So, for example, in this shot here, you cannot see the sky, you just see a white spot. But with HDR, you can see the clouds and the blue of the sky. However, things are a bit too white in the HDR shot. Now, if you're wondering about the selfies, we also have a bunch of those. The bokeh is fine in my book. I would say on par with everything the Huawei's are offering. I advise you not to use the beauty mode because it makes you look like a doll. This is the more natural approach. And you can see here the glistening skin in the strong sun. That's what I want to see in a more natural approach. And in the photos where I didn't use bokeh, in those selfies, the background finally looked nice. Something I don't see every day on modern shots. A few more pictures. This one here, an excellent shot, touristic shot, so to say. Pretty impressed by it with this statue here. Perfect colors, perfect composition, perfect texture. The best thing about the pictures, the colors and the clarity. It's basically the equal of the Huawei P20 Pro and also the Xperia XZ2. I would say it has better colors than the Huawei P20 Pro and less burn than the Xperia XZ2. It takes better selfies than the HTC U11, which had some problems with the sun, and has better colors than the HTC U11. However, if you're hard pressed to tell the difference between the U11 and U12 Plus, well, it's hard to actually differentiate between them. Pretty generous panorama, by the way. In the end, colors are the best thing here. When it comes to the low light conditions, let's see what we've got here. So the pictures, I would say, that have excellent clarity, pretty nice color calibration. Street light halos are a bit too big for my liking. And even though I will keep saying that I'm loving the colors and the clarity, one aspect that's underwhelming is maybe the brightness a little bit. I feel that the Pixel 2 XL, the Galaxy S9 Plus, will create brighter pictures compared to this phone. You can see that in the aperture, f1.75 and f2.6, something like that. Well, not on par with the f1.5 that Samsung is flaunting. Once again, excellent clarity, details, colors during the night time. I would have to say that it's a bit better than the predecessor for sure, but the street light halos are a bit big and brightness not on par. Now I guess it's time to talk a bit about the videos. So we are able to shoot 4K videos, 60 frames per second videos. What else? Videos walking around. For example, this is a 60 frames per second video. I know it seems burned at first, but as you know, 60 FPS is meant for moving shots. Those guys were skateboarding, so in this motion, things are quite fine. By the way, not bad stabilization, not bad at all. When it comes to stabilization, I'm actually pretty impressed. And here we shot stuff with the 3D option on, and the microphone was quite fine. It caught the ambience well. You can actually select between the choices of microphone. So you can choose something like high resolution, surround, or just focus on an area. And you can actually focus on an instrument within an orchestra. So this is a pretty good concert phone. Once again, something that I said for the pictures applies to the videos. Loving the colors, for sure. Excellent calibration of reds, yellows, blues, and very nice way of setting up exposure here. Sometimes the videos feel a bit curved. This 4K video here has excellent clarity, colors, and everything like that, but it feels a bit curved, a bit wide angle for some reason. Don't know why. That's the vibe I'm getting. But it films like any other phone out there, any other high-end handset. You can choose any one of them, Galaxy S9 Plus, Xperia XZ2, the iPhones. It's just as good as the other phones out there. It's very hard to say if it's better or worse. The stabilization is good, there's no burn, you got nice color calibration, nice clarity. Let's say it's on par with Xperia XZ2, but not in the stabilization area. Also on par with the Galaxy S9 Plus. In lower light conditions, let's see. So, okay, one thing to remember here, optical image stabilization is not bad, electronic one as well, although at the night time, a bit of flicker may appear, just a tiny bit. And some small artifact on the screen, and small reflections from the street light halos. There's a tint of orange and red going on here. It should be a pure yellow. It's been corrected now. There may have been an element disturbing the camera. And when it comes to the zoom, actually not bad at all. Okay, so that's about it in the camera department. It can easily compete with the Galaxy S9 Plus, Huawei P20 Pro, and the Xperia XZ2. The colors are the standout, also the microphone is a good concert phone, and not bad stabilization. Now let's go to the other aspects, like the browser. Okay folks, so it's time to move on to other aspects. So first of all, we got Chrome here, and let's see how it handles loading our website, which for a while now has had a new theme. Okay, so gsmdome.com, here we go. Not a big fan of this keyboard. I don't like its spacing. I know that some people love it. Well, I actually don't. Here we go, gsmdome.com, pretty smooth scrolling, and the benchmark results for the browser are okay. As you can see, the keyboard spacing, not the best in the world, and from what I can see, swipe is not activated. Anyways, that's not a problem. Time to move on to the connectivity options. So we're dealing here with some active noise cancelling, also dual SIM setup. There's NFC, Bluetooth 5.0, also Wi-Fi A, B, G, N, AC with MU MIMO, and a variety of other features. We got an USB Type-C 3.1 at the bottom of the phone, also with support for DisplayPort over Type-C. There's HTC Connect, meaning you have DLNA, Miracast, AirPlay, and Google Cast, plus 4G LTE category 18. There's GPS, AGPS, GLONASS, Beidou, and Galileo. You got everything that's available here. And once again, AirPlay, something not very common for an Android phone. Now there's VoLTE and Wi-Fi calling, and speaking of calls, they're pretty loud and clear, no objection in that regard from my part. Now if you want to talk about the connectivity, we have here a speed test, and we can show it to you. Here we go. So on Wi-Fi we achieve up to a crazy 484 megapecsecond downloads, 25.6 megapecesecond uploads. It's excellent. And also excellent on 4G, 129 megapecesecond downloads, 40.7 megapecesecond uploads. I would say it's one of the best phones out there, perhaps the speediest in 2018. Now when it comes to the OS and UI, you're probably going to focus on what's different compared to other phones. I'm talking about Blinkfeed, for example. Blinkfeed is still a thing. You can add sources from here. You can add topics. You can add info sources. You can add Facebook, Google, mealtime recommendations, Twitter, Wingit, YouTube, calendar, and so forth. Now the interface is, as usual, pretty elegant and pretty glossy, not very far from the stock experience. Here's something interesting. You swipe here, you get a few extra shortcuts which you may want to use swiping from that bar. Other than that, when it comes to multitasking, it's all carousel, and of course you can do some split screen and keep browsing the web while you're fumbling around in the settings. So that's one example of the multitasking. Now keep the home screen pressed. You're greeted by the themes, wallpapers, apps and widgets, edit the page, navigation bar, and sense home settings, with a bunch of tweaks here as well. Drop down bit, notifications, and quick settings, nothing out of the ordinary. Got a smart rotate, we got Edge Sense, calculator, and also screen recorder. If you want to record a gaming session, that's the way to start it. We also have an HTC Sense companion, which at some point in your usage will suggest something like use an umbrella, it's raining, or remind you of something important. At the top here you will sometimes see headlines from News Republic, a pre-installed news app integrated in the Blinkfeed application. And other than that, I think it's time to go to the settings area. So we have here the network, permissions, personalization with wallpaper, navigation buttons, themes, ringtones, fonts, keyboard color, dialer color, etc. There's also face unlock, and I'm happy to inform you it's actually not that bad. Okay, done, register, continue, next, and here we go. Come on. Okay, 80%, all done, pretty fast, quite reasonable. Turn on. You have here low light recognition, which is important. Not many phone makers use that, and let's see how efficient it is. So do this, and it requires the pin that always annoys me. Here we go. Voila, so my face. Try it again at an angle this time. Whoa, that was fast. Angle again, come on. And that's nice. I noticed that it hides the content, so people cannot see it when you're unlocking the device with your face. So I'm going to remove the face now and focus on the fingerprint scanner placed right here at the back. I have bad news about it. While it may have a pretty straightforward setup, it's reasonably fast. It happens in steps, which is annoying. And by the way, you can use it for multiple functions: tap to take a selfie, vibrate on scan, wake up screen. But we're not here for that, we're here for the setup. You can add up to 5 prints, touch and lift, something like 5 or 6 steps and you're done. However, it's a 2-step unlock. First, you're taken quickly to the lock screen and then to the screen. Here you can see it happen instantly. You just saw what I mentioned before. So for a moment there, you're taken to the lock screen for no reason. I wanted to go straight to the home screen, not pass through the lock screen, and this 2-step approach is a bit annoying. Now, other things we're mentioning, of course, we have reached the area of boom sound, use sonic, security, location, and all that. And of course, we have Edge Sense. Now, Edge Sense has new stuff now. We got a short squeeze, you can trigger stuff, you can launch the camera, HTC Alexa, turn the flashlight on, and something called Edge Launcher. This semicircle is basically the replacement of that curved edge on the Galaxy S7 Edge, if you really want a comparison. And there are multiple defined actions: set, squeeze, and hold to trigger something. You can choose the apps here, and there are also some interesting feats here. So holding gesture, you got the smart rotate, which keeps your device in the current mode when you're holding it. So if you're laying in bed, no longer will be that strange moment when things go from portrait to landscape by mistake. It keeps them right as you need them. And smart dim, which when holding the device, the screen will not dim even when the time is up. So basically, it's the same as before. I don't feel any improvements on any extras, and it's still one feature that I'm going to use only underwater to activate the camera. That's my core usage of this experience. Now let's talk about apps. So apps, here we have them. I counted them, there's 41 of them, quite a few. HTC Sense Companion, Mail, Calendar, People, some phone and messages, no trace of office action. Photos and Teams are in the mix, Play Music, and a voice recorder. There's the social networking, Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram. There's Maps, there's the Play Suite and Gmail. Settings, of course, a bunch of tools like the Boost Plus, which is actually quite useful, although it offers some promotions. It does the power boost, power optimizer, manages apps, clears the junk, so that's useful. Okay, of course, the weather, the files, the help, and this Under Armour. If you're a fitness buff, you may use this. Auto forward and HTC Alexa. Use an account, and aside from a Google Assistant, you can trigger this unless you're using the edges for something else. That's it in a nutshell about the apps. About the phone, you guessed it, it's time for the verdict. HTC U12 Plus. You have let me down. Now on the Pro side, it's made of premium materials. Some people may actually like this back side, especially the transparent version, the blue one. Performance is pretty solid, not many objections in that regard. I would have to say that the colors of the screen are okay. The acoustics are not bad, they're quite solid, but not in the boom sound tradition. I'm loving the headphones. We got great colors in pictures, and in general, the camera was possibly the best aspect of the phone. Not much objections about it. It's on par with the other phones out there. Excellent connectivity, solid cameras at the back and the front, okay video playback time for the battery, and a pretty okay software experience, although I wanted Android 8.1 maybe, not just 8.0. And now here comes the boom, here come the problems. Now on the negative side, we got a slippery phone, we got buggy buttons. Let me try and simulate the problem again. So let's see how it happens. You can see it happening now. You see, not pressing the volume buttons, but somehow I'm tweaking the volume. That's a bug, folks. That's a big bug. It's maybe something like electric contacts between the frame. The buttons are integrated in the frame. The frame is metallic, so that's a problem. Anyways, buggy buttons, a pretty poor screen, only 300 lux or barely 300 lux. Some heat during gaming and during long photo sessions. Poor PC mark result, I'm talking about continuous usage of the battery. Poor top speaker, sometimes feels a bit muffled. And the squeezable edges haven't grown or evolved, they're just a gimmick, even now in 2018. No Android 8.1 Oreo, and the two-step fingerprint scanner is a bit of a bummer. So I have to say, we are a bit disappointed by this flagship. I actually like the HTC 10, HTC U11, but this one, nope, cannot recommend it. If I were to compare it to the Xperia XZ2 and Galaxy S9 Plus, those would certainly win. And I think that the iPhone 10 would also beat it. and probably a few other flagships. I'm talking about the OnePlus 6 probably, and the LG G7 probably too, because they simply do not have bugs. If this is a singular case and only my unit has that poor screen and those weird contacts, that's okay. We deserve a higher grade. Till then, I cannot recommend it, and it feels like a phone that gets a 6 or 7 out of 10. That's the problem. It's good for the camera action, it's good for gaming and performance, but that's about it. The worst things about it: bugs, battery, and the screen. This is from gsrom.com. Bye bye.